Welcome to PM Express Business Edition. It's an industry that powers the economy. When it comes to supporting our vehicles, trucks and equipment in the factories, they play a significant role. But current developments have raised concerns about the fortunes and the future of this industry. And also what is happening to ensure that as a consumer, when you drive to that service station, you get the right price for that petroleum product. We're talking about the Association of Oil Marketing Companies as we look at the fortunes, the future of this industry, and what has happened to the price deregulation policy. I'll say that I'm so grateful, or maybe say happy, or let's say more excited to speak to the Chief Executive and the Industry Coordinator of the Association of Oil Marketing Company, Kweku Agyemang. Sir, thank you so much for granting us audience in your office.
George, you're welcome.
And how are you doing? It's been quite a while.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Or being in a pandemic, how have you been able to manage things? Working from home.
Yeah.
I mean, your industry, whether pandemic or not, it has still be working. So, how have things been like for you?
It's been tough during the pandemic, but we're still struggling to get to the grips of it. But so far, so good.
Has it been more challenging this time than ever?
Yes. If we talk about this year, it's been more challenging in terms of operations, and also to do with our members in operations in the industry becomes very difficult, more challenging than it has been.
In terms of the pandemic, some would say that people were still consuming petroleum products. So, yeah, it should bring some excitement to you.
Yeah, but it's the same people that used to serve them. So one or the other, if some of them get afflicted with the COVID, then it becomes very difficult.
Did the pandemic compound your situation, or it rather gave you new avenues to still stay alive as an industry? Because we knew that some of the industry was going through some challenges, yes. Margin issues, taxes, consumption issues, and undercutting. I'll be looking at that later in this discussion.
Exactly.
Did the pandemic really worsen the situation for you?
Initially it was, because we had some industries were not opening up. They were not at their full throttle. So we also were not at full throttle. People were not coming out, to buy, they were staying at home, they don't buy fuel. So, and the way we operate, our overheads are overheads, no matter what you do. Our overheads are still high, so if we are not getting the volumes, obviously it's a nosedive for us. But by and large, as people were getting used to the pandemic environment and following the protocols and the industries opening up, we also, the volumes were going up. I think the volumes as of now, we are recording about 350 million liters per month.
And compared to pre-pandemic era?
176.
So you have picked up in terms of consumption?
Exactly, we have picked up, yeah.
That's good for you. You're quite excited then?
Yeah, we should be excited.
Recently, you issued a statement that brought out certain challenging stuff in the industry. And for me, one thing that was of serious concern to me was the warning that the industry is under threat. I mean, oil business, we never thought oil business can never be under threat.
Yeah, we are under threat because now we have, it's a long-term investment, this industry. It's not something that you make money overnight. When people, some of the players want to make people to believe that you can make money overnight, that's where we have the threat. And they resort to all kinds of machinations to be able to access to their unusual efforts to make money. And that's where we tend to have an issue. And that's why we need a strong bodied regulator. Because if where the regulator relax, our government does not support the regulator, we tend to be in trouble. And what happens is that the guys who are doing very good will tend to side with the people who are not doing good. And they look for shortcuts to make money, and the industry will crumble. This is an industry, it has to do with quality of the products. It has to do with the safety of handling those products, and also versus the consumers as well. It has to do with environment issues. So if people are using shortcuts, obviously you are shortcutting safety, shortcutting environment, shortcutting quality. and it will adversely affect everybody. And then when they get to that stage, nobody can survive. Then it becomes all regulations or rules will be thrown to the gallows, and nothing happens.
You talked about one very important thing about price and the cotton. I mean, what is the motivation if a layman would want to ask that, okay, is it that because then other members of yours are pricing above the industry requirement, and therefore if I can price at this price, if I can use that and penetrate the market and get consumption, the other consumer will say, well, maybe he's behaving like a Robin Hood.
It's interesting, George. But you know, the price has to be right for the right products and get it at the right time. And getting the price right, a lot of ingredients which goes in getting the price right. Hence the quality, the safety, the environment issues. And there are some people, they want to just go straight to the price, and knowing that Ghanaians are people
price sensitive,
they just want to go with that. And they come in with all manner of illegal products and ways and means to be able to cut the overheads in such a way that they can make sure that the price is cheaper everywhere. And that's what we want to guard against.
I know you want to look at the regulator playing a critical role, but what has also happened more to the peer protection, if I could use that expression, of the association, where we're a club where we aspire to certain principles.
Exactly.
If one member is going against that principle, what stops the other members from calling him or her out that this is not what we stand for? And some are saying that maybe all of you in the public space, it's good. Everybody's trying to be Mr. Right. But behind the scenes, there are a lot of you guys who are in the same soup.
Yeah, I mean, we look for collective interest. A collective interest in a rather viable and fair manner, you know. And where we find ourselves now, we realize that some few members have misbehaving.
Are there only few you say that? Or a lot of them are doing
that? You know, we are 116 OMCs.
As we stand right now.
116 OMCs. So my calculation is about 14 of them, so that makes it a few, relatively few in terms of percentages. But, you know, we really want to be sure that they really understand what they are doing. And sometimes we look at the situations and it becomes symptoms of what is going to happen. So we try to nip it in the bud. Association stand firm on our feet that this is what we stand for. We don't stand for, you know, supporting people in an illegal way. Yeah.
But why don't you call them out? I mean, you've had the number you're talking about, 14 of them.
Yes, but you know,
why are you not calling them out?
The regulator is doing that.
Name and shaming?
Exactly.
What's stopped the association from doing that?
And
if
the regulator
is not doing that. I've been following this industry for a while. I've never had a time where the OMCs or the association itself has said that, listen, these are the firms that are denigrating the industry. Well, don't go and buy from them.
Right. We used to publish members of good standing in the
Are you still doing that now?
You know, that was when the numbers were small. Now the numbers are increasing. The numbers are increasing in some way that we even get to the stage we want to tell the MPA that, look, why don't you halt the issuance of licenses and let's do a house cleaning exercise, you know, before we continue. Because it's like anybody thinks that you can be in the industry, and that shouldn't be. And that's what we want to change the picture now.
You think that the entry requirement the barrier is too low? Everybody can dive into it.
I think
George Biafra gets some money and all the rest.
Exactly.
I think that the industry is quite prosperous or successful, and therefore, let me set up one station down here and then use it to do other things.
You know, that's what we want to avoid. People coming with all kinds of thoughts, all kinds of objectives, and they are short-termism thinking. You know, they really want to make money within a rather short time. And that's not what the industry stands for. The industry is a long haul. In fact, in the horizon of about 10, 15 years. So when they come in here, that's where you have to be thinking through. And people are doing all kinds of things. And that's why we want to make sure that we are an innate such group and reinforce the people who are doing good, you know, their efforts, so that the business could be fair to them. Otherwise, it's bad.
Do you think that we should, the requirements, entry levels, should be
We have
reviewed
made an
now.
attempt on that.
Have you made that
In fact,
proposal to the National Petroleum Authority?
We have, and the recent one that they are doing on was at the behest of our request. So the only difference is that the barrier is high, still people are entering. So probably we need to look at other things. Now we're looking at issues of due diligence by us, because invariably the people who become, who go for license are some of our own people who have grown to the extent that they think they want to be independent. Then they go for the license. And I can say this, in Malaysia, for instance, the regulator, the moment he gets a letter for application for license, he throws it to the association.
Yeah.
The association is the people. And they go around, and their feedback is about 80% of what the ratings, what they are supposed to give you before they allow you to have your license. So that's a very good system.
But you've made a first proposal already.
Yes.
It appears that they implemented it.
Implemented
Maybe
it.
just like what happened to the banking industry.
Yeah,
Do you
exactly.
think that the bar should be raised again?
Exactly. Yeah. In fact, we are thinking along the same lines. We think the banking industry, like the way it's been cleaned up, we also have to do some cleanup here and make sure that we raise the bar excessively high. Not only the amount of money you need to get a license, but in terms of even your directors,
Governance
as
structure.
governance structure, making sure that you have the right people running the organizations. Because in our industry, it appears that sometimes people say that yeah, petrol will be a bit of petrol, but it's not
Everybody
like
can
that.
sell petrol, yeah.
But it's managing right, that you are fair to the consumer, you are fair to the states, and fair to yourself, and also the business as well. And that requires that you need very competent people along the chain, especially as an accountant. You need a very good accountant to be able to help you to get through.
Let's come back to the name and shame earlier argument I made. As what is, apart from NPA coming in, what about the industry itself, the name and shame thing? Or
basically,
you are afraid to call out members who are into this?
You see, you will do that when you put things in place. We are in the process of enhancing our business ethics regulations. And when we do enhance it, if I got the first draft, then obviously we expect people to follow this line. Out of this line, then you fall into the name and shame category. And that's what we're trying to do.
So when would this regulation be ready?
We want to make sure that we are ready by beginning of June. Yeah.
That's very soon.
Yes.
Because from what you put out in your statement, it appears that the industry is at the crossroads.
It's just we are at crossroads. And it's just like any other human organization. It gets to a point that you need to change your tactics to be able to suit the new realized environment so that you can come out stronger. That's what we are trying to do.
How worried are you when you hear reports like people were supposed to pay over 1 billion Ghana cedis in taxes to the state, but it appears they didn't do it. They managed to bring in this product in as export, get the rebates, the reliefs and all the rest, find a way to sell the product back into the market.
Yeah, I get worried. I'm really worried. And especially sometimes it's not only, it's like you and me. If we go around doing illicit fuel, I'm sure it will not be dusk. We'll be put in jail right now. But the others who are doing it, you go free because they are, in one way or the other, there's a big hand somewhere supporting them. Either the same regulatory agencies are supporting them, or are the state machinery supporting them. So they can continue to do the things that they are doing without being prosecuted, And that's where I get really alarmed. Because sometimes you have, Navy has been doing a good job. They just impound some.
We always
get
follow the reportage
and that's it. There's no prosecution. You see, and that makes it very difficult. So, and this industry says that if you continue to do that and no prosecution, then people will start thinking, this direction is good for me. And they also get into it. They will learn very fast and they become part of them.
The decision is to follow up on these things, apart from, or you just leave it to the security agencies to do their job. Do you follow up to ensure that these things are done?
I do. I remember I've been in contact with the National Security Minister and we discussed a few of these things. And the assurance has always been that they're getting the prosecution done. And also we are following at the same way that now NPA is asking for prosecutorial powers. And I understand that the Attorney General is ready to give them that authority. So if they do get it, obviously, we'll be able to get through that. So we are pushing hard on that one.
And you feel that these things could at least help clean up the industry?
It is. It's part of the cleaning up exercise we have to do. The only thing that, as a relation with the public sector, sometimes they are a bit so slow. There are a lot of bureaucracy, red tapes, before these things happen. But we think the sense of urgency that we're looking for, because this industry, once you give somebody 1 second, he'll make a lot of millions on your blind side. So why do you wait? Why do you wait? You need to make sure prosecuted, the fellow just goes in. Because one way or the other, the people involved know somebody somewhere. So it's good that you prosecute early, and by the time somebody somewhere get to know them, they're already in jail.
Mr. Jumandio, I'll be coming back since you're talking about pricing too. So the concern about, there's this concern out there that more of a cartelism in this industry. What do you have to say about that one? And also to the fact that, what about consumers as well, pricing, and also going for the regulation of the sector as well? This is PM Express Business Edition. As you look at the sector, the oil marketing industry, the fortunes, and also what is happening to the price deregulation policy that's supposed to benefit you as a consumer. Take a short break and be right back. Welcome to PM Express Business Edition. Let's look at the oil marketing industry. Is it currently under threat, or maybe something that they'll get over it? And what about the consumers out there getting the right price anytime you drive to the service station? Is the industry made up of cartels, or maybe no? And what about ensuring that there's the right regulation to protect you and I? Is the oil marketing industry, consumers, price regulation policy, and whether indeed it's a club of big firms that are deciding what they want to do, and not about you, the consumer? Welcome back, Mr. Jumandio.
Yes.
And let's move to another quite sensitive area that gets the whole public talking: pricing of these products. Help me out with some education. I know there's tax build-up and all the rest and all those things, but when I drive to a service station and Mr. Deer's station says that I'm selling to you at 6 Ghana cedis, 3 pesos, what is the component of that liter that you're selling to me? What goes into the price of it?
In the price build-up, we have 3 main items. One is the S refinery price, which is how the product is being sold by the BDC. If you like, can talk about this wholesale price. Then we have the taxes, levies, and margins. Okay, that's how much taxes government is putting on. There's some statutory levies we are supposed to pay, and margins, which are all in there. Then the third component, that's for me the most important one.
What is that one?
That's the margin due to us.
So these are, in the layman's term, these are more of small levies on this liter that comes to you.
No, it's a margin. Yeah. What I'm supposed to get by investing in this industry. Okay. All the structures are put in place. And that's the margin. It's a misnomer anyway. Okay. We are seeking to change the name. Okay. And so it's
quite technical, some would say.
Yes, exactly. It's like the margin due the OMC is the one which takes care of the cost of bearing all this stuff.
Service stations, electricity.
Exactly, all that.
The human resource as well.
Yes, all the plus what is supposed to get as no fuel, marginal profit that is supposed to have. And that one, so for every 100 cedis worth of food that we sell, that margin is only 5 cedis.
Oh, you don't mean it?
Yeah, that's 5 cedis. In fact, if we continue increasing the taxes, it becomes less.
So as we speak right now, if maybe Odumasi service station, that is the name, sells 100 Ghana cedis, what you make on this is
it's just 5 cedis.
5 cedis.
To take care of all the processes of the fact that I'll be able to serve you with 100 cedis worth of fuel, I get 5 cedis.
So it means that you have to sell more volumes.
Exactly.
The more volumes you sell, the more returns or margins you make in a day.
Making a day.
So it's your prayer that more cars drive to your service.
Exactly. So the more volume I do, that's what happens. And the more volume I do, remember, I mentioned about 3 facets of it. You must be able to pay my BDC, the SRF refinery price. Then there will be more taxes for government. So then I have the margins which I have to take care of. So these are the 3 components.
But that margin, that for that 5 cities, is assured. It's minus whatever taxes or margins you pay to the BDCs and all the rest, right?
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. But you know, if you have, and it's the only point that we're able to forgo some of them to be competitive. So for instance, if the average price is supposed to be like 6 cedis per liter, okay, then I sell 100 cedis worth. Mine is just the 5 cedis I get. But if taxes are too many on the price build-up, it diminishes my margin. It means I have to cut off my margin to attract a consumer.
That is one thing I want to get some.
Because it's the only one which is variable, which it depends on the OMC. Because the margin is the OMC who has to put in on. But the rest are all stated. You negotiate with BDC. That one is there. You can't change it because that's what you negotiate for. If you say 1 cedi, 68 pesos, that's what the BDC is saying. If it's 2 cedis, 2 cedis. Then government taxes, they are fixed.
I'm trying to do a comparison here with value added tax, even though it doesn't apply there. That is a consumption tax. So the more people buy, I might be immune from it. Let's look at the tax build-up on a liter. How does that impact on your returns or profit as an oil marketing company? Because the consumers are paying for it.
Exactly. The consumers are paying for it.
Yeah.
Then what happens is that, remember, if the taxes are fixed.
Yeah.
I can't change them. The BDC thing is fixed. I can't change them. Now, if I should pass on, like this price build-up which you just had, if I should pass on exactly what happened, you're going to pay higher than 6.05. In order to, what is going to happen is that, because obviously you made a session when it started off like saying that fuel price affects everything.
Yeah.
And if fuel is going to affect everything in terms of salary of people, the market conditions, you think I would be a fool not to account for it earlier than wait for people to complain before I start increasing my margin? You understand?
Yeah.
I should increase my margin before I pass on the pricing to everybody.
Yeah.
So the one people are looking at getting, the thing is getting on the transport fare, I'm ready to pay my transport, I'm ready to pay my employees better. You get it? So that I can always supply fuel to you. Than to sit down and you are free to go to his business desk and say that the fuel price is causing inflation and that kind of thing before I start thinking about my employees.
But I stand to be corrected because from your explanation, you are, from the layman's consumption of what you're telling me, you were slightly immune. I mean, of course, you don't pay for it. So if the taxes are applied on it,
yes,
and they're supposed to go up per what the BDCs are giving to you, obviously, your 100 cedis, your 5 cedis, you are short. So pass it on to the consumer. I'll pay for it, or I'm supposed to pay for it.
There are 2 things. One, remember we are in the deregulated environment.
Yeah. I
have my brand to protect, and I have to sell more volume, like we said. In the deregulated environment, the only place I can compete on price, I can compete on brand. Now, Ghanaians are very sensitive to pricing, so obviously, I want to price in such a way that I can attract somebody like George, who likes to buy premium fuel, So instead of going for full margin, I will reduce my margin. Bear in mind that I'm also going to have my overhead costs up in such a way that I can attract George. So I price it a little bit lower so that I can be competitive and I can attract George as well.
But your 5 cedis is still a share.
Exactly. Oh no, it's not always. So you see, that's where we have a problem. With the dealers that you see out there, they want to be assured of a fixed margin. And that's what used to happen in the regulatory system. The regulatory system, we all assure of fixed margin. But in the competitive environment like deregulated, you have to fix your margin. And you have to fix your margin in such a way that you still become competitive. And it's the only variable you can do. The rest you can't touch. Because when you touch, the taxes, you don't pay all the taxes, you're in trouble. They will just stop you. GRA will stop you from loading. You don't pay your BDC, you lose credibility with the BDC, you won't get your supply. So you have to vary your margin.
Are you varying this margin to look at the environment that you're operating in, the ability to purchase and all those? Because there are some consumers out there who think that, listen, the OMCs are ripping us off.
It's
that
not
is
true.
the perception.
No, you started by saying some people are selling 5.8, some people are 5.9.
Yeah.
While some people are saying 6.05. So you see that the cost structure is different. And what people want to do also is different. That's why you have the variation. Once you have variation, there's no catalyzation.
You don't think so?
Oh, no.
Because that is the perception out there.
There's not.
There's the kind of, I won't mention there's a big four or big five, and they are moving the industry. There are two players in this industry that when they review their prices, everybody follows.
Yes.
And the perception is that there is cartelism in this industry.
No,
that is what people
you shouldn't
think.
forget that in marketing, there are various strategies people adopt. Some people can follow the big guys, and some people can decide that the big guy's price like this, I'll go down by this price, just to make sure that you also stay in business. And you need to know, I mean, you're in this country, we know the people who do a lot of advertising, promotion, it's the big guys. So if we are talking about costs, they need to cover their costs also as well as promoters. There are some people, they just follow them. Some people have got the notion that...
Isn't not coincidental that if that this bit about the cartel, that anytime one person or this circle of the big three or big four, it's more in, they synchronize with everything. When they are moving on price, everybody moves. When they are doing this, everybody moves. And the perception is that this is a club where they are protecting themselves, and that is what is happening.
Oh, it's not true. You see, the fact is, they incur a lot of costs. Among all the OMCs, they incur a lot of costs. You do a lot of CSR, a lot of promotions. And I think they have also got the largest number of stations around.
Yeah.
So they also thrive on economies of scale as well.
But that is where then they should be benefiting.
No, but you see, promotion, you do one sport advert. One sport advert on Joy FM, we know how it is.
Yeah.
With, so
they'll get a discount.
So obviously, all these things are feeding into it. You see, and sometimes the CSR they do in some villages are so enormous. They can be in a place where they are doing a business and they look unconcerned. People drinking bad water, and people don't have a very good school on the trees and that kind of thing. They try to help. So all this feeding, there's nothing free. Feeding into their prices.
You don't think that these big players are agreeing on pricing?
No, they're really competing fairly.
That is what you think?
Oh, yes.
Are you worried about the perception? Because this is not even just coming from lay consumers. We've had people who've been in the industry before and they are out. And the ASEPs and all the rest, these are people you think that they do appreciate this industry. And they think that regulation should break this cartel that is happening in the industry.
It's one of the things, to accuse somebody doing cartel, it's a serious thing, right? And so if you need to have the right ingredients of cartelism to be able to approach that. We have been running this one since 2015, and for me, it's working very well. And that's why, if you ask me of price, I don't want to talk about price. Because by me mentioning some price, I'm going to influence the market by the virtue of the work I do. So I don't want to do that. Some OMC can pick the price I say, and the price is, so that's what industry coordinator says, and moves on. And we don't, even in our normal discussions in our meetings, we don't even talk about price. We talk about issues which really negatively impact the industry. So that something which is a concern for everybody, then we talk about it, but not pricing.
Do you think that the consumer is being shortchanged? That's
No,
the perception out
no. The consumer,
when it comes to pricing,
in the deregulation environment, you have a choice. Formerly, we're not having a choice. Now you have a choice to go to anywhere. Where you feel the prices is resonant with your thinking about being price sensitive. You can go there. Some of the 5.8, you can go there.
I live at East Legon. There's a service station at Kasua that is selling at 4 Ghana cedis, 6 pesos. Let's be fair. These big four players indeed have the the largest service stations out there in town. Therefore, if it's about competing on price, this geographic guy or maybe Kwabena Mensah who lives at airport and cannot afford that service station at airport should drive all the way from airport to Kasoa because we are competing on price or the deregulation and go and get the 4 Ghana cedis, 3 pesos.
You know what it is? That's your choice. But on the other hand, you must be also question yourself, why is it that somebody says 6.05 and somebody says 4.0? The question you asked, I remember...
Because he's behaving like a Robin Hood. Maybe
you know what,
he cares about consumers.
You know what somebody asked me?
No.
He asked me the same question. He was coming from Kumasi and saw some people were selling 4.0. That time we were selling 5.3 or something. He asked me a question. Do you get the product from the same source?
Yeah.
A question I couldn't answer. And that's what we are talking about. Earlier we were talking about illegal fuel. We don't know where the source of they are getting the fuel from. And that is where this illegal fuel was in the regulatory setup when we were doing it before 2015. But because everybody's margin is fixed, you are guaranteed of the margin already. That's why it didn't really surface. Now in an environment where you are not guaranteed of a margin, you have to fix your own margin. Then people started pricing that way. And because they can get their fuel from anywhere. And like we said earlier on, the people are losing, companies are losing $1 billion. And it's all from this kind of thing. So that question was asked by the minister to me. Then the Minister of Finance also asked him, he asked the question, are they paying the same taxes?
Yeah. But these are not...
And you realize that when you go deep, those guys who are selling 4.0 and 4.0 are not paying their taxes.
But it comes back again to the level of monitoring.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because these are not products that are being carried in buckets. These are millions of liters.
Do you know something, George? You know something.
Sleeping.
You know that the canoe they use for fishing.
Yeah.
You know that canoe has been designed can use 54,000 liters.
Wow.
Designed for 54,000 liters, and they bring it out to the shore and pump into the truck, and it's by courtesy of Ghana Navy. What they find out, and some of them was even 108. 2 big trucks, and the highest trucks that we have, capacity trucks, 54,000. So, you know, as for fuel matter.
So, I mean, that's what I'm saying, that these are huge equipments that move around.
Exactly.
Unless the security agencies are sleeping, unless GRA is sleeping, unless the good members who are good are standing by for the evil ones to perpetrate these actions.
Yes, you know what happens? I have 50 stations across country. I stay in Accra, that's where my office is. I have to allow the people, the dealers in the various stations, I have to trust them to give me good figures. How much they sell, the capacity of their stations, and how much they sell on a daily basis. If some reason somebody dump products in those stations, I will not know. This is where we are bringing in ATG. You know, now technology is what we are getting into to be able to help us. You bring ATG, you sit where we are sitting right now, we get to know that somebody is dumping at the station. And that helps us, so the dumping will not be there. So you talk to a dealer, what's your capacity? He said, oh, I sell 49,000 liters in a month. Actually, he's doing like 200. Because he gets a third party and sell on your blind side, you don't even know. And that's where it contributes to this kind of phenomenon of illegal fuel. So once you are, so ONC is saying that, let's price this fuel at this for me. The dealer say, no, I'll do it this way. So
you believe that the introduction of this equipment, if it's an equipment or surveillance system,
it will help a great deal.
But
we're behind, honestly, we are behind. A lot of countries like Kenya and the rest are doing it already. It's a very good surveillance system, which you can see anywhere. It gives the process more credibility than we have now.
Let's look at price deregulation policy. And I remember when this was launched, there was so much excitement among industry players, among players who thought that we were not getting a fair pricing mechanism because certain regulators somewhere was dictating to it and all the rest. But there are some, when you speak to them today, they are so much worried, or they're like, listen, we thought that we rushed with this thing. The market was not ready. What is your thought on that one? Price deregulation?
I go with you, but I was really on the forefront.
Very excited when the launch was done, I remember.
But you know, there are little bits and pieces we are not put together. You know, either by law or by some regulations, we didn't do that. For instance, what do we do? Questions. We were not anticipating that there will be predatory pricing, like you mentioned the 4.0, and you definitely wait and see what kind of regulation you can put across so that it doesn't happen. They also, we're looking at everybody being fair. You know, like the question was, what's the fair price? We should have asked that question. What would be the fair price? And then
can there be a fair price?
Can there be a fair price? Then obviously people can oscillate between about 2 or 3 percentage points from it, and that will not be an issue, which regulator can use as a tool to check. Now we left the regulator with nothing to check. You know, in just moving from regulatory to deregulatory, so it makes it difficult for regulatory to check. And for us as an umbrella association, we are not clothed with the legal power to be able to enforce that. So it has left us in the wilderness, and some people who don't have some of the people who don't have economies of scale are suffering, and those guys too who are up there, like you mentioned, the top guys also suffering because they put a station somewhere in Punguru Yoyo. Some small guy come to put his only station and start pricing the 4.0, then he's in trouble. We didn't really look at those regulations. I think it's time that we have to look at that. It's something which is really...
You think that there are some things that put it on hold? You are saying that, listen, get back to it, refine it, and bring it back again.
Exactly.
What has been the consensus or the concerns of your members?
In fact, there was something that we discussed. We had a meeting at Marriott with MP, with the regulator, and we're looking for a floor and ceiling so that we can get into that. But the regulator later realized that it's not good for the regulator to.
But that is also another subtle way of regulation.
Exactly. So we really want to go there. So we are still looking at how we can get that. In fact, we as we have got our index we have developed, which people oscillate around it in a way. We look at how things are, and when you see the deviance being so high, then obviously you have to question. And that's what we are doing now.
But the consumer cannot wait, because the consumer is disappointed now that the policy that was meant to empower him or her has rather left him more disempowered, if I can use that expression.
The issue is that we never thought about, as I say, in the pricing. We didn't know how we can make the pricing so open to the consumer. We thought what we have, that I just enumerated to you about the prices we have. We thought that was okay. But if we have deliberated a bit, then we will have come with some index which things can be revolved around. Which for every consumer, you see it, you know, this guy has gone up a little bit, this guy has gone lower a little bit. So I can go deal with this guy, I can deal with the other. And that should have been something we should have done.
Mr. Joindo, I'll come back to taxes again. Is the industry being overtaxed? And also regulation, and also the future of this industry for all of us that consume these products. This is PM Express Business Edition. Take a short break and be right back.
Yeah.
Welcome back to PM Express Business Edition as we look at the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, or the oil marketing industry, and all the concerns and the issues that you had as a consumer as you engage as chief executive. Let's come back to the question about taxes. I mean, the perception out there that, okay, oil marketing companies, they make a lot of money, let's tax them, let's tax consumers as well. Do you think that you're being overtaxed?
You know, taxes, if you take the price bid up, 40% of the price that you and I pay at the pump is taxes. It's for us to evaluate and see whether it's more than that. If you would like to buy, so if you're buying fuel, which is 5 cedis, and 40% of that is for taxes. The BDC component is just about 38%. The margin that we put on, our margin, what is supposed to come to us, it's just about 13%. So in effect, it's the taxes which is taking all the money.
But if I get the concern from you that, and from getting back to your previous statement, unless for those who might be on the curtain, you get a picture of a grim industry, a challenging industry. But anytime I drive in through the outskirts of Accra, I see service stations springing up. And even I look at within airport itself, there's a new service station. I mean, there's another extension of a service station. Even you look at the radios and all the rest, then I ask myself that unless other things are sustaining these OMCs, the picture out there is that you guys are making a lot of money. Okay. So why complain about being better?
You know, there's a phenomenon in this country. In Ghana, when somebody sees you, he knew you before then, and he see that, hey, George has opened a supermarket, now he's riding in a new handy car. He also like to do the same. He will not ask you how you were able to make your money. He also go and do the same store. It's only one. There are many cases where dealers have sprung up to become OMCs, only to realize that deja vu. I mean, they should not have started even. Because they say, hey, all the money is going to the government and the BDC. They are not making anything. It's more of erroneous impression that there's a lot of money here.
Isn't that the reality?
Yes, because no. I mean, if you go through Kaswa, for instance, you see the station, some of them, some of the pump attendants are just sleeping. They're not making the volumes. It's very expensive.
Why didn't they shut down then?
You know, who is going to buy? You know, there's some, in our industry, if you are selling your station, the prelimination is the guy is not making anything, that's going to sell the industry. So if I'm going to buy, I need to think of how I can make it viable. And if it's where it's located is created, but I can't do anything about it. Unless I buy it far less, you know. So that's what we have in the industry. So there's a real impression, and we have not done a very good job in trying to educate people, which we are going to do. I'm sure you use your forum to do that. Yeah. To educate people that it's not easy running an OMC. You know, the land that you want to use for the OMC, if the moment you mention, even it's going to be sold as, say, 400,000 Ghana cedis, the moment you mention that you want to use it for fuel station, they'll go and consult and come back. And this time, these are 400,000 Ghana cedis. You'll be paying dollars.
The deal has money. Let's check him.
Let's check him. The guy is going to do oil. Yeah. You go through all these entities. You have to get permit from fire service, district assembly, EPA assessment, and we run into so many millions. Then you put a station down, put the underground tank. Now we are looking for double wall underground tank, and you know, with the way the industry is going, you need to be using technology. You must be technology wise. That we have to put a lot of investment in, and you can't recoup that one in one day. You, at minimum, you should be selling about 200,000 liters a month. So if you are not making it, everybody will get at you. Taxes you can't pay. Your credibility with the BDC will be a suspect because you have not sold the product and you have to go and pay. Credibility will be so bad. So if you don't have a clout, you know, after you got your license, your ability to rally some funds to be able to run your business is what is important. And you can find yourself in a latch where you cannot easily come out.
Let's come to the 2 weekly review of these prices as well. And one critical one that is supposed to happen now. I've driven around, I've placed some calls. Are you guys going to absorb this increment?
Oh, I can't say that. You know, normally when the window changes, it's all part of strategy. Someone's strategy is to wait. Who is going to go first?
For the big 4?
Yeah, that's a strategy.
Cartel?
Somebody look at it and say, which one will go first? And if you go first, then they start evaluating whether it's good enough for me to get in. But invariably, people have submitted their documents to MPA about the maximum price that they're going to have. And people can, maximum price, everybody can go AY. And in reality, they come to certain bit below the maximum price. So it's early days yet. I'm sure by today is what, Tuesday?
Yeah.
From Wednesday you see the prices going up.
Hasn't it kept long? Because for GRA and all the rest, when they come, their taxes should be starting from...
Oh no, the tax is fixed now.
It's fixed now.
So we can just pay. It's not a percentage of...
Yeah.
When it used to be the percentage. Yeah, that would have been dangerous for us to wait. But now it's fixed, so you can do your pricing. That's for the public anyhow.
So that we should expect.
And especially, you know, one thing, moving from high prices of the taxes, the new taxes coming in, you are going to go to higher prices. So now the OMC will be evaluating. Oh, when it went up, how much did I lose? And if I go up further up, how much am I going to further lose? Do I take some margin, you know, and allow the price to go this way? So if you instead of increasing, like say 1.67%, can I increase by 1.2%?
There was a bar that people were saying that we should do about 2.53%. What should we be expecting?
You see, when it happens like that, when public starts speaking like that, you influence the OMCs in their pricing.
These are big players.
Yeah, so when they hear 2.05%, then they said, oh, really? So if I also get it to about 1.98%, I think it's not bad. You know, but you must go on 1.98%, thinking that you have to, whether it can carry all your costs for you, and also, do you want to get volume against your cost? You know, so this way, so it's a major decision to be made. And I know some of the OMCs, for instance, they always have a meeting with all their dealers before they go on the new price window. And so that is bureaucratic, and it takes a little bit of time.
Coming from the recent increment in the taxes as well,
yeah.
Do you think that you had the moral check hunting you guys and what margin should I do and all the rest and blah blah? Because then we are just coming from a previous increment.
It doesn't matter, George. It's a full cost. It's a full cost recovery. Who doesn't do that? I mean, no. I mean, it's not. It's not expensive matter.
Us, you know,
who is killing who?
Cost of living is
the fellow who is investing so much money. I told you how we invest the money, and you don't help him to recover. He will not be there for you. You want him to collapse and add up to the numbers that we have. People don't have jobs. If one OMC who has got even just about 10 stations, employ about 282 people. If he runs down, you want him to go and add up to the numbers that we already have.
In letting this whole deregulation pricing work, every 2 years was supposed to be reviewed.
Yeah, 2
There were instances where it was clear that they should have gone down. The OMCs did not review their prices.
I mean, it's a market. If you are buying from you, then you don't go down when it goes down. Next time will I come? I won't come.
People
it's
say
your choice.
The OMCs are quite insensitive to the concerns of the
it's not being quite sensitive. That's a strange word to use. Because the fact is, we are in the business, so we are not in a charity organization. We are not philanthropists, you know.
If I cannot buy from station A,
go to station B.
Drive all the way to Castle.
Yeah, go to another place. I mean, it's your choice. You can confront the fellow. Why are you selling it? I mean, this way. And if you don't get any compelling reason why they are selling that way, maybe next time you buy from different places.
Are you worried that the outlook in terms of the economies open up, pandemic levels and all the rest, points to a fact that prices will be going up in terms of the finished product? Now, if the city doesn't remain fairly stable, we will be seeing more hikes as well. And I'm trying to still pitch the moral angle here that as an operator, are you worried? Because then it is going to hit you guys.
I'll just tell you, one of the philosophers I know said, if you want to talk about morality in business, you better become the priest rather than come to the business. You understand? This no morality thing is here in the business angle. Otherwise, government would have been in the business because government is the one who's supposed to take care of all of us. But government is not in our business. They have laid a place for us, the private sector, to run.
Free for all.
Free for all.
You don't care about how it's hitting.
Not that we don't care. We do care. But we have to care to the stage where we will not run at a loss. We don't care to the stage where you run at a loss. It doesn't help.
I understand.
Even the Bible doesn't tell us that we should love somebody more than ourselves.
I don't know whether that's but I get from you that when the prices go up,
yes,
at the initial 1 week, 2 weeks, consumption is affected.
It is.
It means that consumers react when
we react. They react. And
so
we know over the period I got the statistics to tell us that the consumption goes down.
When
then it gets to the stage
go up, it goes down.
It's normal human behavior. When the price goes up, the human beings will react. They will not buy. Now there will be circumstances in buying the fuel. They think where he can walk, where he can join, or hitchhike, or take a trotro or whatever, he will do so. But over a period, The consumers tend to accept
that. Good. They have
accept
nothing
that,
to
well,
do.
this is nothing. I can't do anything. Let me go with it. It happens.
Let's look at regulation. Can it be better?
Yes, regulation could be better. Regulation could be better. In fact, I'm somebody who doesn't like over-regulation. Over-regulation to the extent where it enters into your commercial space. That's very bad.
Free market.
Yeah, that makes it very bad. But regulation should make sure that the playing field is level so that all of us can compete fairly, all of us can comply with the regulation sector. I'm all for it. It's something that, but I don't like a case where a regulator becomes a policeman. That's bad.
That is when the players are not playing right.
Yeah. Regulator shouldn't be a policeman.
Because there are several pressures on the NPA right now to intervene in certain areas. I mean, the pricing is the factor. There's still debate about what then happens to the price deregulation policies for adulteration of fuels and all the rest and blah, blah. NPA come in and act. All these things, there is pressure on the National Petroleum Authority to be doing more than what you're doing.
Yes. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. But what I'm saying that over-regulation is what I detest. You don't have to over-regulate in such a way that the business operator wakes up in the morning, he's looking at the regulator. That shouldn't be. The business operator should be such that when he wakes up in the morning, he looks at his business, not the regulator. You know, you see the regulator doing everything for you. In that case, he ceases to be a regulator. He becomes one of the players.
One on the gas recirculation program.
Yes, LPG.
Is it going to come on, or it's been thrown to the?
No, it's been thrown.
To the bush or something.
No, it's still in discussion. And we had yes, it kept long because of the pandemic, the COVID thing. Nobody wanted to go out to the field there to monitor. But what we have now is we have looked at the issues which arose from the piloting zones, and we are carried on to see how we can do the other piloting and take care of those ones, those issues. The issue that we had was, it was a recirculation issue in terms of the number of cylinders, and which we are working with the Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company to be able to get through with that.
But all other things being equal, I mean, what period are you hoping that by the close of this year, it should happen this year?
It has called for...
It will be moved to next year?
Yes, it has called for rescheduling because of all these issues and the pandemic issues. So there's a team working on that one to make sure that we have a realistic schedule for us. Ordinary issue, I mean, 2018. But now, I'm sure it goes a little bit further. We are now having our first filling plant. But there were 5 people who have applied for the license. We're now having our first one, so I'm sure the others also.
So next year looks more likely?
I won't say that. I'll wait for the team which has been put together to do recently.
As we wrap up on this, I also want to, what do you think can be done in 30 seconds, in a minute, to save this industry and also ensure that consumers are protected? Your final words on that one.
Oh, basically, I think with the NPA Act framework, it allows for consumer to be protected. All the three, the consumer and the business operator, ought to be done. And I believe they are doing a fairly good job. What we have to do as an association is where I would like to talk about. We are trying to tighten our bets in such a way that we do a better house cleaning, so that, you know, it's like teacher and parent thing. If your child goes to school and he says that the teacher is strict, and he comes home and he knows that the parent is also strict, and the parent is a friend of the teacher, the child behaves properly. And that's what we want to do. Make sure that, we don't want to kill our members, but we want our members to get a message that we are there for their collective interests. So we have to be fair to the consumer, fair to the state, and fair to the business as well. Mr.
Jumanjoy, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate so much. I know the debate will still be going on in your homes as to whether enough has been done to protect the consumer that drives to the service station to buy his or her petroleum product to fill his tank. As you looked at the future of this industry, challenges, and also protecting the consumer. My name is George Jaffe. Have a great day.